Hey dreamers, this is Jade. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. I am here and excited to journal my One Piece anime journey with you. So I decided to start over in the beginning of the year, and I will go through to however many episodes are in the actual English dub because that's the way I am watching it. And so yeah, we are starting off with, of course, Luffy busting out of a barrel onto Captain Alvida's ship where he meets Kobe, a cabin boy who is absolutely terrified of Captain Alvida. Mind you, everybody is. Her pirate crew, other people terrified of this woman. And so he ends up rescuing Kobe from Captain Alvida. And they go on about their adventures. Kobe's dream is to become a marine. And now Luffy's dream is to become king of the pirates. That he has wanted to be a pirate since he was a child. That has been his dream since forever, so he's known who and what he is since a young boy. Now, Luffy's mentor was a guy named Red Haired Shanks, or is, I says, because Shanks is still around. Red Haired Shanks, who is his own, he is a pirate captain himself, has his own crew, whatever, fame. And Luffy, as a kid, always wanted to go with him and have adventures and stuff. But then something happens, and he's like, okay, no, I'll wait or whatever. And so, yeah, they, and I should also preface this by saying that Luffy ended up as a kid eating a gum gum fruit, which is a devil fruit. And there's so many different devil fruits out there. I can't even name them all or whatever. But unfortunately, the devil fruit is will take your ability to swim. And so it's precarious being a pirate with a devil fruit power. But that is Luffy, and he does it. And the gum gum fruit basically made him a man of rubber. He's a rubber man. He's stretchy and can do all kinds of things. Anyway, in wanting to help Kobe realize his dream, he decides to go to Marine Base, and he keeps hearing about this guy named Zoro, who is a pirate hunter, a bounty hunter, and that he's so bad and he's a demon, and he hunts people down and yada yada yada. And he's hearing all these bad things about him, but he sees him and he's like, I don't know, I think I like this guy. And then he hears about how Zoro basically protected this young girl and sacrificed himself to the Marines. And the thing is that he has to last 30 days and 30 nights without food or water, and they'll let him go. But of course, the Marines do not plan on keeping that promise. So Luffy goes back to the Marine base and lets Zoro know that, hey, yeah, they plan on killing you tomorrow. I can help you out here or whatever. So Zoro ends up agreeing to become Luffy's first crewmate. So there you go. Boom. That's his first mate and vice captain of the Straw Hat crew. And what a phenomenal person to get. And what I love about Luffy he goes with his own mind and his own gut. His intuition level is on 10 at all times. He just instinctively knows who's a good person and who he can trust. And I love that about him. And so they go off to go do pirate things, and of course they are hungry one day, and Luffy sees a bird and he stretches up to get the bird, and the bird flies off with him. So then Zoro is like, okay, this fool here. So he goes to find him, and he lands in this town where this girl has stolen a map from the Buggy Pirates, Captain Buggy and the Buggy Pirates. And she acts like she basically traps Luffy, and then acts like to Buggy that he's the one that put her up to stealing the map. Here's the map. And then while they give the map back, she tries to steal treasure or something like that. Anyway, Zoro arrives because they have this cannon facing Luffy in this cage to blast him with the buggy ball. And Zoro arrives, and what I love about the relationship, especially in the beginning, but throughout the series, you can see that Zoro is very, very perceptive. And especially with Luffy, it's like they're sharing a brain sometimes. And sometimes he just acts, he knows what Luffy wants without Luffy having to say anything about it. And that's just amazing to me or whatever. So he helps Luffy out, and he moves the cannon and rescues Luffy. And then there's like a whole battle and stuff that ensues between them and these pirates. They ultimately end up defeating the Buggy Pirates and move on, and they bring Nami with them as the navigator. And so moving on, they decide before they get to the Grand Line, because that's where Luffy wants to go to realize his dream of becoming the king of the pirates. Before they get to the Grand Line, they decide to stop off in this place called Syrup Village so they can get an actual boat that will survive going to a place like the Grand Line. And there they meet Usopp, Captain Usopp of the Usopp Pirates. It's basically Usopp and these three little kids that run around acting like they're pirates. Now, Usopp's name, it means liar. Usopp is the boy who cried wolf. He always would get up as a little boy and say the pirates are coming, the pirates are coming, and the pirates ain't coming. The pirates ain't coming nowhere. And so his whole town gets aggravated with him about that. And then too, he likes to tell tall tales to this girl named Kaya in the village, who is just like this sickly girl who lost her parents. But she loves his tall tales and stuff. And so yeah, he is the liar. His name actually means liar. Uso in Japanese I think means liar. And then of course Usopp, Aesop Fables, that's who wrote The Boy Who Called Wolf. And then he has a long nose like Pinocchio. So it's like it's very apparent that this is the liar, the tall tale person. But Usopp grows on you. He is a coward. I'm telling you in the beginning, he's a coward. No, let me just say, he's always a coward. But he still has to do brave things. And so yeah, his journey is a journey, okay? But anyway, so they meet Usopp or whatever, and then he finds out about the scheme from Clador, who is the butler of the girl that he goes to cheer up, who had lost her parents or whatever, and he is actually a pirate captain called Captain Kuro. And they plan on basically making Kaya sign over her fortune to him and then making off with it. He's gonna make off with it and then just abandon his actual pirate crew. Luffy has absolutely no respect for this guy when he finds out his scheme and what he's about to do. So they promptly take care of Captain Kuro and the Black Cat Pirates or whatever. So yeah, and then during that time, Zoro actually had a flashback of when he was a kid. Now, listen, this boy was wild, okay? I think he was somewhere between like 8 to 11 years old when he shows up at this dojo. And he challenges the dojo guy. And he's like, if I can beat your best person here, then I get this dojo. This dojo is mine. And so the guy's like, okay, humoring him. And he puts his daughter up, Kuina, to fight Zoro. And I think Kuina is maybe just 2 or 3 years older than him. But he cannot beat this girl for the life of him. Now, mind you, Zoro is good even at a young age. He comes from the land of the samurai. He is a madman when it comes to training, even back then when he was a child. But he cannot beat this girl. And she's like, well, listen, you know, you'll grow bigger and stronger because you're a boy. He's like, a girl cannot become the greatest swordsman because I'll be too weak to do that. And he's like, you have to shut up. I don't want to hear that. You're my goal or whatever. And so they make a pact with each other to train every day and get better and stronger, and that one of them will eventually become the king of the pirates. Tragically, the very next day, Kuina has an accident and ends up passing away. So Zoro has to carry on that dream for both of them. And it's just kind of heartbreaking. Like all of the Straw Hats have like this tragic backstory. This tragic shit that has happened to them. Usopp, he has a dad named Yasopp, who is actually the sniper for Red-Haired Shanks' crew. So he went off when he was a kid to be a pirate, and his mom ended up passing away when he was young. So it was just kind of just been him around town, and like the people kind of look after him, but they're really aggravated with him as well. And so yeah, but they miss him when he's gone. Like, ain't that how it happens? Like you only miss me when I'm not here, type of situation or whatever. So anyway, they move on after Syrup Village, and they end up at this restaurant called the Baratier. Now they get into it with the Marines, and Luffy tries to deflect one of the Marines' cannons, and it hits into the Baratier, which is a ship. It's a restaurant ship basically. And so the lead chef there, who actually owns the Baratier, and he actually used to be captain of the Cook Pirates back in the day, is called Zeph. And Zeph is like, okay, you are going to be the chore boy here for the next year. And Luffy's like, I can't do that. I am meant to become king of the pirates. I have to go on my adventures and stuff like that. So he is in the middle of negotiations, excuse me, with Zeph to bring his time down on that or whatever. And so at during all of this, there was this pirate from the Don Creek pirates that came in hungry and starving and thirsty, and he's like, we went to the Grand Line, somebody sliced up our ships like almost as soon as we got there. We don't know who it is, we don't know why, and I am starving. Sanji is that dude, okay? Sanji doesn't care how suspicious things are. He's like, if you're starving, if you're hungry, I'm going to feed you, period, poo, okay? And this here, my guy here, one of the most phenomenal entrances into an anime that I have. Okay, listen, I haven't watched that much anime, but I should say into One Piece. Just, I love it. This is here, over here on the right that I'm putting down, is Hawkeye Mihawk, also known as Dracula Mihawk, who is currently the greatest swordsman. And so that is who Zoro wants to be. So he knows he has to beat him to become the greatest swordsman. In the meantime, the Don Creek pirate goes back to his captain and says, yeah, I came across this place, and this person named Sanji, he fed me, he was kind or whatever, and the guys insist that he takes him to the restaurant and that he's not going to do anything, everything's going to be fine, he just wants to eat and stuff, and he wants to ask them to feed the rest of the crew. But of course they get there, and Don Krieg is like, I'm going to take over this ship, this will be great for me to get back to the Grand Line. So anyway, enter Hawkeye Mihawk, who happens to be the person who was out there slicing them ships to pieces, okay? He cut him up. And then once Zoro learns that Hawkeye Mihawk is there, he's like, okay, this is my dream, I'm gonna go after it. So he challenges him to a duel. Zoro does not understand that he is not yet there. He's not yet at that level, and yeah, Hawkeye defeats him fairly easily, ends up tearing up both two. Okay, he does 3 sword style, so he has 3 swords. Yeah, 2 of them swords fell right on to pieces, and so it was, I don't know, but that helped Zoro's resolve, and Zoro was like, swords on the back is a swordsman's shame, and so Mihawk is like super impressed by both Luffy and definitely Zoro, and he's like, listen, I'm not gonna kill. He sliced them up now, okay? But he's like, I'm not gonna kill you today. Your friend will live, and tell him to come back to me. Like, you know, go out there, have his adventures, get strong and stuff, and come back to me, and let's do this all over again. And so Zoro has his respect, and he definitely respects Zoro and wants to see what will become of Luffy and Zoro and the whole crew once they, you know, get out there on the Grand Line and become famous pirates and stuff like that. So moving on, by this time Nami had actually stolen the ship that they just got, and so Zoro and a couple of other people that had joined them at some point, not as crew but just as people that Zoro knew in the past, go after Nami, because Luffy is like, no. They're like, just leave her, and Luffy is like, absolutely not. That's my navigator. That's who I chose. That's who I want as my navigator, despite the betrayal of Nami or whatever. So he's like, nope, that's gonna be what it's gonna be. And so he asked Zeph, if I beat these pirates up for you, can I be done with this? Can I go ahead about my business? And Zeph was like, yeah, let's do it. And the whole time he is admiring Luffy, and he's telling Sanji to pay attention, because this is a guy who's never going to quit. He's never going to give up, and watch him fight, and da-da-da-da. And then, so Sanji's dream is to find the All Blue, which is where it's a mythical sea where north, south, east, and west, the seas, the blues meet, called the All Blue, whatever. And supposedly there's fish from all parts of the ocean in this one place called the All Blue. And so he wants to go there. He ends up joining Luffy because And Zeph is like, you need to get out of here. He knows that he has had this dream since he was a kid. And Zeph was like, you're not going to be able to fulfill this dream if you're stuck here with me. And so Sanji does join the crew as their cook. And it is great. And so now we have them going after Nami. And she is in the Konomi Islands. Now, what we find out about Nami is that she is actually a part of a pirate crew already called the Arlong Pirates. And these are the Fishman Pirates. And Fishman will come back up again later on in the anime. And what happened to her when she was a kid? Tragic, tragic, tragic. She, first of all, she and her sister, her sister's name is slipping my mind at the moment, but her and her sister were adopted by Bellemere. And then these pirates, Arlong and his pirates, come along, and it's like, okay, I'm taking over this island, whatever. You have to pay a fee to be able to stay here. And Bellemere doesn't have all of it. She's able to pay for her two daughters, but not herself. And so they basically just shoot her point blank. And then Nami goes to them and gives herself up, and she's like, I can do this. And she can like make charts and stuff, even as a little kid, like maps and stuff. And her dream is to make a map of the world. And she's like, I'll do this if I can get my, buy my village back. So he makes a deal with her that when she gets 100 million berries, that she can buy her village back. So Nami has become like a thief. Nami is a thief. She goes around stealing money in the pursuit of having enough to be able to buy her town back so everybody can be safe. I do believe that in the anime, they understand that this is happening. They do not in the live action know what's going on. So yeah, anyway, or at least two people in the anime do, her sister and the guy with the scar, I can't remember his name. Anyway, so yeah, so she gets the money. She has the money on this trip to buy her village back. And of course, Arlong betrays her and gives her up to Marines looking for more money. And the Marines confiscate her money, and she is just upset. She's crying. She was trying to get rid of Luffy and them, because then at one point Zoro had found her first, and he had gotten tied up by the Arlong pirates, like right beside this pool, or whatever. And she had been telling him how she tricked them. She was never with them. She was never their friend. And Zoro was like, perceptive, was like, really, is that really how it was? And she's like, yes, I was never with you guys, or whatever. He's like, okay. And then he launches himself backward into the pool, knowing that Nami will, if she means all that, she's not going to save him. But he knows that she's going to jump in and save him. And that's exactly what she did. So, yeah. So Nami is just kind of stuck in this conundrum. She wants to buy her village back, but it's kind of difficult, going into doing this, whatever. Eventually, she finally breaks down and asks Luffy for help. And he's like, freaking, of course I will help you. I've been waiting for you to just ask me this whole time, or whatever. So, that goes into Luffy, Sanji, Usopp, and Nojiko. That's the sister. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm getting off track. They go to face the Arlong pirates, Zoro. Now Zoro is still cut up from his duel with Mihawk, but he does what he needs to do. Okay, they all come together and they defeat the Arlong pirates, and it is glorious, and I love it. And as you see down there at the bottom, Luffy is ecstatic because after defeating the Arlong pirates, he gets his first bounty ever, which is the largest bounty in the East Blue, and it is 30 million berries. So he is so excited and so happy. And Nami is like, now people are going to be after us. Like, duh, you're going to be pirates. Of course people are going to be after you. Anyway, their next stop is, they need to go to the Grand Line, but they need to get supplies and stuff like that first. So their next stop is a place called Log Town. And they call this the beginning and the end, because Log Town is where the old king of the pirates, Goldie Roger, was both born and executed. And so they all each had their own little kind of individual adventures at Log Town. Zoro first, of course, his swords got beat up, basically decimated by Hawkeye Mihawk. So he has to get new ones. And so in the pursuit of those, he runs into this girl who looks eerily like Kuina, like his friend Kuina from back in the day. and she's even a swordsman. So he is totally freaked out by this girl. And she actually happens to be like some kind of officer with the Marines. So he's really like freaked out by this girl or whatever. And I think her and Nami are probably the only two people that Zoro is even remotely scared of. So while he's trying to shop for these swords, she's kind of hanging around and commenting on every. She's kind of a busybody or whatever, and he's just kind of freaked out by her because she looks so much like his old, friend back in the day or whatever. And listen, she is a trip too because she's like a marine person where she's like, "Oh, you have this legendary sword or whatever," and she doesn't know at the time that he is Zoro, a pirate, whatever. And she's like, all pirates should not have, no pirate should have any of these legendary swords. And when she finds out he's a pirate, she's like, you need to give it to me. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. That doesn't, people don't just give shit to you because you say give it to me. Like, and that's his sword. But anyway, okay, I'm getting off on another tangent or whatever. So anyway, after that is done, Logtown, then you go through the other individual ones of what's going on. So like, after this, and when I'm done, I like to just kind of fill in space. God, can I talk? Fill in spaces with like little hearts and stuff like that. Sometimes I use stickers. Sometimes I just draw it in with my mile liners and go over it and stuff like that. But yeah. So the next one, they're still in Logtown, and the next adventure I do believe is Sanji. And Sanji is challenged to a cook-off by this woman named Cassandra, if I'm not mistaken, because she had seen him as a boy cooking and how he was so good or whatever. And she's like, and I wanted to become that good or whatever, so I trained and trained and trained. So she does a cook-off with him. But of course, Sanji is that boy, he is that chef, and he wins this bluefin tuna, which he is very excited about cooking up for his crew. So yeah, so that is basically his adventure in Logtown. I really don't remember like Nami's at all of Logtown, but I do know that Usopp gets into it with this guy named Daddy the Father, who Usopp was shopping for like these vision goggles or whatever, and then there was this little girl that came in and kind of thwarted him for it. He goes after her, runs into her dad, who is this Daddy the Father guy, who is basically like another sniper type person, and they have a whole little thing in challenge or whatever. And then Daddy the Father ends up realizing that Usopp is Yasop's son, and Yasop back in the day actually ended up sparing Daddy the Father, and he has the little girl or whatever, and so he ends up sparing Usopp. And it's a whole thing. He does in the end. He ends up getting his goggles that he wanted for the Grand Line. And so yeah. And then moving on, we have Luffy, who has been pursued by Captain Alvida and Buggy, who have teamed up because they are still a little pissed about, being defeated by him beforehand. And they are after him, and he wants to find the platform where Goldie Roger died, and so he finally finds and climbs the platform, and then he is basically caught by Buggy, or imprisoned by Buggy the Clown. And so he's like, Zoro, Sanji, Usopp, Nami, sorry, I'm dead. And he smiles. And then in Logtown, the Marine captain there is Captain Smoker, and he is like, what is going on here? Like, the kid is smiling, but that's Luffy. Luffy is like, I'm gonna go in pursuit of my dreams, and if I die in the middle of pursuing my dreams, then I'm okay with that. Then that's fine with me. And so he smiled, and the guy is just like done. And then so after they escape, basically he gets saved by something or someone, and it ends up being this guy, and I won't say who this guy is. So, but just know that during the course of this, there will be probably some spoilers. And I apologize for that, but I just can't really talk about it without spoiling certain things. So if you, I know this is late, if you don't want to be spoiled, maybe watch on mute or whatever. But I hope you will watch it, just period, because it's such a good story. It's such a good story. But anyway, After Logtown, there's like some filler episodes. I won't even really go over those, because as I said, it is filler because it's not in the manga, and I think they just needed to add extra episodes, um, so the anime could catch up with the manga or something like that, or the I don't know, something like that. Anyway, they finally make their way. They finally start to the Grand Line, so they have the entire crew now. Well, for now, Luffy as captain, you have Zoro as first mate and the swordsman. There is Usopp as the sniper, and then you and liar, and then you have Sanji as the cook. Did I say Nami as the navigator? Nami is the navigator, and she's good. She's phenomenal. She's a phenomenal navigator. Okay, like everybody is like really, really good at what they do. And so anyway, they make it. They finally make it to the Grand Line, which is the entrance is kind of precarious because it's like up this mountain or whatever, and then you kind of come down the mountain. Anyway, they come down the mountain, and the first thing they see is this huge whale with a beat up face. His name is Laboon, and he just keeps cracking his head against the mountain. Because back in the day, Laboon had his own little pirate crew. There's a crew that he was kind of just following behind since he was a baby, and they loved Laboon, and they would do music with Laboon and everything else, and play with him and stuff like that. Once they reached the Grand Line, they told him it was too dangerous for him to continue on with them, and so they left him with the keeper, the lighthouse keeper there, to watch after him and promised him to come back. Well, that was like 50 years ago, and no one has ever come back for Laboon, and it's really sad and it pisses me off. So yeah, but anyway, Luffy ends up fighting Laboon, and you're like, why is he fighting? Well, but Luffy's like, I know when someone is itching for a fight, I can see it, and so that is what Laboon wanted. And he was like, listen, we'll come back this way and be ready to fight when I come back. And he paints his face with the wonky straw hat pirate emblem, and is like, now you can't smash your face against this thing anymore because you'll mess up the paint job here. So basically helping him to stop hurting himself against the mountain, looking for his friends. He's like, but we'll come back and we will play with you and everything like that. And we find out more about Laboon later in the series, and it's heartbreaking. Anyway, moving on. So after going to Laboon, there was these two people from Baroque Works, agents. There's a Mr. I think he was Mr. Seven, and a Miss, I can't remember her name, Miss something or other, or whatever. And they asked for a ride back to their town called Whiskey Peak. And Luffy's just like, oh, okay, whatever, we'll give you a ride back to Whiskey Peak. So they they hop on their ship and take them back to Whiskey Peak. Now they are agents with Baroque Works, which is a bounty hunter crew of pirates and everything like that. So they reach Whiskey Peak, and everybody is like welcoming the pirates or whatever, and he's like, we're gonna throw a party for you, everything like that. So Luffy is enamored. He can eat all he wants, Zoro can drink all he wants, and they're like, this is great, and everybody is just having a blast or whatever. And then and then, but of course, it's a little too good to be true what's going on. So, and then we get like a little break, some more filler episodes of, well, it kind of, because it's in the manga, but it's just like a one-page type of thing. But we get to know what Kobe has been up to on his journey to become a marine and whatnot. So you get a couple episodes of that, and then at Whiskey Peak, love Whiskey Peak's episodes or whatever. They have this drinking contest, and of course Zoro's drinking, Nami is drinking, but Zoro isn't a fool, and he hears Baroque Works, and he knows exactly what that is. And so while everyone has passed out and gone to sleep or whatever, he and Nami are the only two up. I forget, Nami is looking for treasure, but he hears them talking about what they're going to do. Basically they kill pirates and like take whatever supplies and stuff that they may have. And so he's up and he's like, nah, that's not happening this time. and basically he takes on like 100 Baroque works agents and takes them all out, and it was glorious. It was beautiful to see. As you can tell probably by now, I am a Zoro stan. I love him. He is my favorite character of One Piece. Now I do love me some Luffy and Chopper, and I'll get to Chopper, but yeah. Anyway, so after that, they once they defeat Baroque Works, they actually find out that the agent they gave a ride to the girl, is actually a princess who disguised herself as a Baroque Works agent to find out who is trying to take over her town in Alabama, or her whole royal city, whatever, in Alabasta. And she finds out is number zero, and his name is Crocodile. And so they decide to they agree to, well, Nami makes them agree to take her back home because she thinks there's going to be a reward for it or whatever. So yeah. Anyway, so Vivi is traveling with them, and then they reach this. They stop off at this place called Little Garden before they make it to her home. Little Garden ain't so little. Little Garden is got all the big stuff. They got the giants, they got the dinosaurs, and all kinds of shenanigans going on there. And they meet some of the Baroque Works agents there, the lower ones, the more powerful ones. So they meet number 3 and his partner, and it's looking bad. It's looking bad. But of course, the Straw Hats come through, and then you got Sanji, I love Sanji because Sanji is clutch. Okay, the Straw Hats be in the middle of something, and Sanji will go off somewhere to do something, and they like, where in the hell is Sanji? But whatever he is off doing always ends up being very, very helpful to them in the end. And so I love it. I love Little Garden because I see the parallels of the two giants, Bragi and Dory, and how they actually started, why they ended up at Little Garden, and it parallels, of course, Zoro and Sanji. And Zoro and Sanji's relationship is very interesting because they're always at each other's throats, but I feel like they have the utmost respect for each other. They understand each other, they care for each other, but they would probably die before they admit it. So and you will just see this dynamic play out the entire anime series. And the first time I watched it, it kind of got on my nerves a little bit until I just realized, okay, this is the relationship, like this is the dynamic between them. And then you just start seeing how it goes, and you start seeing how they actually do like respect each other, how they care for each other and stuff like that. And it's very interesting, the dynamics, the relationships, who does what, why they do their motivations, their intentions, everything like that. So yeah. So we stopping off here at Little Garden, and we will continue in the next one. I actually have it all edited and stuff. I had it all put together, but I decided to slow it down so I could be able to fit more description in, or what's going on. And this is still bare minimum surface level stuff. Like, you guys should watch this show. It's on Netflix, it's on Crunchyroll, and it's on, I think it's also on Hulu if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, you should definitely check out the One Piece anime. It is one of the greatest stories I have ever watched in my entire life. I love the themes and everything. Anyway, if you have any comments or questions, leave those below. Hope you all safe and well, and I'll catch you